Welcome once again to the Ben Smith Coach Show here on the Bear Network. I'm your host, Gary Ownbey, being joined today by head wrestling coach Ben Smith and several of his state finalists and 2 or 3 champions here. And Coach, I usually have notes stuff, talk about things. Hey, we're winging this. We're going to ad-lib the whole show today.
Right.
But, talk about who you got here and what they've accomplished and whatever you'd like to talk about. It's your show, Coach.
Yeah, it's the last show of the year, huh? So, we just wanted to highlight the guys today. Make this less about me and you and more about them. So we've got our 4 state finalists from this past weekend at the Division II state championships, and then 3 of those 4 champions. So I decided to bring all 4 of them, 4 finalists out of 14 weight classes. That's and then 3 champions amongst those 14 weight classes. That's pretty good percentages. So yeah, we just kind of wanted to highlight them. So if I go right to left here, I've got 132-pound undefeated 52-0 state champion Ethan Lipsey, and then 2-time state champion, 1 loss on the year, Division I signee Bryson Terrell, and then kind of maybe an unsuspecting to the rest of the state, not just all-state football, but now he's officially all-state wrestling and state finalist. He lost in the finals to the most outstanding wrestler of the state championship, which that would be like Mr. Basketball or Mrs. Basketball. Sure. So 2-time state champion from Clarksville, Aiden Bruneau, and him had a really good match. Knox wrestled well, but made to the finals, prior for 3-time qualifier prior to that. But this was his first time getting on the podium, and he did so in the finals. And then last but not least, Luke Belcher, 2-time finalist, 1-time champ, 3-time medalist. Ethan's also got 2 other medals around his neck as well. But yeah, this is my my senior panel. These guys have captained and been part of the internal leadership of our program for 4 years now, and now they're done. So I decided to bring those guys with me today and just kind of highlight them, because a lot of our success this postseason, especially this past weekend, is centered around these guys.
Well, Coach, I tell you what's impressed me, and something happened just this morning. I drive into school here, and out front, there's some kind of party going on in front of the gym, and I park and walk by them out there, and hey, Mr. Ownbey, come here. They got grills cooking eggs and bacon and biscuits and have drinks and all that, and they were having a good time. You think, I'd be sort of down, I just didn't win the state or whatever. But my goodness, it was just like a party. And these guys love each other. It's obvious they do, and I know you love them too. You're going to miss some of those guys, but and they're going to miss you. But man, that's just sort of what it embodies, though, in the rest of your team. You are a team, and it showed this morning, I thought.
Oh yeah. These guys. This group specifically was a lot of the reason why I decided to come back 4 and 5 years ago. After the 2018 season, our family was in a weird spot, and I was in a weird spot, and I wasn't really sure if I wanted to keep doing what I was doing. And I knew this group was, rising 7th, 8th graders, 8th, 9th graders, and so I'd always kind of had my eye on this group. And yeah, transactionally they were very good, and there was a lot of reasons personally behind it, from the connections with the Watsons and the Belchers, and then the Lipseys were fresh to town, and then even knowing Bryson's family from back when I was in high school. So there was a lot of connections other than just transactional, hey, these guys might be a good group to go out on, so to speak, or to come back for. But, they're super close, and that's part of that's why I wanted to bring these guys here with me. And knowing there's, 4 or 5 other seniors that are also very close with them, but there's also, to the victors go the spoils, and this is one of those things where, sadly, when you finish up top, you get to be up front a little bit. And so, and again, it's like you said, administration this morning was like, hey, your boys were, my boys were what? And they were like, well, they were cooking breakfast out front. I'm like, awesome. I was mad that I didn't get invited, and usually I'm here early this semester. I've not been able to, or I'd have been able to catch it, but I was like, well, were they doing anything wrong? No, they were just cooking breakfast. They offered us breakfast. A lot of fun. Yeah. And I'm like, they're celebrating not cutting weight, and they were probably, first semester football, and they do a lot of sunrise stuff. And I'm thinking, man, they're probably just wanting to cook breakfast and be together and watch the sunrise, and and probably offer food to everyone else that came in, because they are a very unique group. They're a very close group, and so I'm very proud of them.
he said the magic word: no more weigh-ins. Guys, you can eat to your heart's content, and just enjoy that and forget the ties for a while. You know, do you mind wearing the ties? I mean, it's a symbol, a status symbol, I think, around the school. Because man, you see kids in the hallway, hey, got a wrestling match tonight. These guys are wearing ties, you know, and all that. So it's everybody knows that's been going on for a long time there. But start down here with Luke. Have you enjoyed wrestling at Bradley now? You're going to be out of here and all, but what's it meant to you?
It's been a lot for me. I mean, I've learned so much lessons with the team and just individually. I really think I'm all the better for it. Honestly, it's been great. It's been a lot of fun.
It's not just about wrestling on the mat. It's about the fun time, the bonding times you have.
Yeah.
Be it in practice or on road trips or in tournaments and all that. You know, you got each other's back, and you just continue to fight. Knox, you got thoughts on wrestling for the Bears here, and you also played football, of course, all-state football, and all. Congratulations there as well.
Thank you. Yeah, I've really enjoyed it. You know, it hasn't always been the easiest road for me, but you know, I know that it was all for the better. You know, the struggles. It just makes, you know, being in the finals even more special, just because you know I've done all that with hard work, and it finally paid off.
You got to go through the down times, appreciate the good times too. Bryson.
Oh man, it's been a road. That's of course. It's sad to see it come to an end, but it's been some of the best time of my life. I mean, we've all done life together. We're all close. We all enjoy the same things. We've cried, fought, bled, sweat, tears together for the last. I mean, we've all been together since 5th and 6th grade, so it's been a road. It's like a family, so.
Ethan, it's one of these things that you can go back, you know, years from now. You got, here's my old annual from when I was at Bradley High School. You know, here's our wrestling team. Here's this dummy and this idiot and this guy. You know, that we had fun with. And cooked breakfast out front of the school one day. Didn't tell anybody. And almost got in trouble for it. But you know, it's all done in great fun. And it's something, you know, you can tell your kids, your grandkids, whoever, hey, this is me right here when I was a young, slim guy, you know, and a state champion on top of that. But it's gonna make great memories for you to share down there. There. Coach, I know you've got, these guys create a lot of good memories for you, and you've been through the tough times with them, the good times and all that. And, you know, high school's like college, you know, every year, you know, this group's gone, this group's gone, this group's gone, and all it's just part of life, the life cycle and all that. But these guys I know have meant an awful lot to you.
Yeah, they have, you know, and I sit here and I listen to each of them and I watch each of them because I've not seen, I've not seen them since we parted ways Saturday night at the state tournament. I mean, I've seen Bryson. We cross paths a lot because he's in the gym. I think and Knox and I share a class together, but I've not seen Luke or Ethan much at all. But you know, just sitting here listening to the stories and you know, like I said, this group played a big role in my decision to do another 4 or 5 years a couple years ago, because it was just you know, guys like Coach Jackson and Coach Logs and I, man, we dump a lot into this sport emotionally and mentally. We sacrifice a lot of our personal lives and our home lives, and there's a lot that goes into that. And so when you're kind of weighing out those options of you know, and that's a very small shelf life, you know, just because we demand such high excellence of ourselves that if we spread ourselves thin in too many other areas, that you got to start kind of weighing things out. And when I look at these guys and I listen to these guys, and you know, it's very reaffirming. And each one of these guys got to have a special moment after their final matches. And you know, and again, I mean, I always go into kind of a recovery phase myself and kind of reassess where I want to go and what I want to do and where I want to be and where the program is at, so to speak. But you know. And it's like they said, man, each one of these guys we've had some hard moments. We've had some difficult times. And that's why it's special to see, you know, each one of them at different times and or their families sent me some pictures of those moments that we had. They come off the mat, whether it be in defeat, which, you know, Knox's loss was almost like a win because he it's like you said, he's had some low moments. You know, there's been some moments where people pointed some fingers at him as much as they applaud him on the football field. There's been some rough moments that he's had in the wrestling world because it took some time for it to translate. But you know, the last hug, the last note, you know, the last lift, you know, for each of these guys, you know, you see a snapshot of that kind of roll before your eyes, and you know, me and Coach Blackman are on the bus by ourselves coming back, and I'm thinking about those moments, going, man, all those moments, you know, the good and the bad, the discipline, you know, the look. This is going to be a hard conversation, and versus the, you know, hey man, let me hug your neck and let's celebrate this together. All those moments kind of come flashing back, man. But it's, you know, they'll probably tell you it's kind of an emotional low the first couple days because you put so much into it, and then you're trying to figure out like how to fill that cup back up, you know. And like there were a couple guys I saw yesterday, I'm like, room's shut down today, boys. Like we'll open it back up in a couple days, and like they're walking by the building going, I don't know what.
That's a huge part of their life.
You know, it's a huge. You know, I mean, they're 18 years old. I think all of them are 18 years old, and like, you know, I look back at my career. I've been involved in wrestling for 32 years. I'm 41 years old. That's 80% of my life. These guys, like the percentage of wrestling that they've put into their life is 80 to 90% of their life. It's ridiculous. And now, you know, I know Bryson's going to wrestle on the next level. Knox is going to play football on the next level. I think Ethan's finally decided to maybe pursue wrestling on the next level. And then Luke, you know, can do whatever. He's definitely good enough to wrestle on the next level, but you know, there's other things. He's very eclectic. There's other things that he can do and be successful at. But you know, for a lot of these guys, this is it. That was it.
Yeah. You mentioned something that we don't talk about enough, probably. Families, man, the families behind the scenes that are so helpful, volunteering to help get stuff here and there, run consent. I mean, just people don't have any clue of how much help it requires to be an elite program and run it successfully and keep that at elite level without a lot of behind the scenes help. That
100%. I mean, you got all levels of representation. You know, Luke's dad was an assistant of mine, but he was also a coach of mine. He was my first really effective coach I've ever had in my life. You know, he was, you know, Brent Belcher, Turner Jackson, Steve Logsdon. That's my big three. You know, and so Brent just being able to be there and break down matches with me and look ahead at opponents and just he really digs in and digs behind the scene. But there's also a lot of moments where you know Coach Belcher and I think very similar. Like he feels things that I feel. Like sometimes my other assistants don't feel what I feel, and like I'll go to Brent and I'll say 2 or 3 little blurbs and he's like, yeah. Like it's an affirmation that okay, my coach's gut is right. You know, whereas, you know, the Pastor Lipsy and his family, they're very affirming, you know, but they also get stuff done. You know, they run a big church on the south end of town, South Cleveland Church of God, and they're very resourceful. You know, if we need something, we go get it. You know, whereas, you know, Bryson's family, you know, Shauna specifically, Clint is kind of that guy. Clint's like me, but he's a parent. Like, he's very hard. He's very hardened. He's very empathetic, but he's not very sympathetic. And so, you know, he's kind of a dad to the boys away from me that will be like, yeah, you know, so what if your finger's broke? You got 9 others. Like, it's not that big of a deal type guy. You know, but Shauna specifically, she handles a lot of things for me logistically as far as hotels and different things like that. But she's also my ears on the ground. Like, if I need to know what's going on out there, like, because I don't pay attention to that mess. I ain't got time for that. But she does. But then, you know, the exact opposite of that to a certain extent, you've got Buck and Holly Watson, who they're the kind of parents that I hope that I can be. And not that theirs are not. Theirs are more active participants, but Knox's are more passive participants in the fact that, like, I've been hard on, like, it's been difficult. Like, you know, you go from Friday Night Lights to my foot up your butt Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, because I see what's the best in him and what he's capable of. But they've watched from afar, and like, I mean, you know, I talk to Buck and Holly quite a bit, but it's very limited because they're both teachers, coaches, former principals. Like, they know how it is. But you know, Buck walked by me yesterday. I hugged Holly right after his match because she came down to check on her baby, as she should. You know, but I kind of, you know, Buck and I just kind of exchanged glances and handshakes. But we were walking by each other yesterday during advisory, and he walked up, man, he hugged me, and you know, just said that, man, I appreciate you, I love you, you know. But knowing that you've got that, you know, whether they agree or disagree, I've never heard it. But they've always been there to support. And, you know, it's been nice to look up and see a set of fans that are teachers, they're coaches, they're principals, they're professionals, that, like, they get it and they stay away. You know, and so the whole family nature that we have going on here at Bradley. And, you know, during our finals, I was standing beside some Dobbins Bennett coaches, some Nolensville coaches, and every time our finalists got announced, and we had we had a female finalist, and Natalie Shane, you know. And again, we were third, fourth, fifth. I mean, we didn't win the state championship. I don't want to focus on that. We could have. We didn't have enough bullets. We just didn't. Summit wrestled great. Wilson Central had some firepower. We stayed ahead of Dobbins Bennett. They had 14 qualifiers, but every time somebody was announced from Bradley, I mean, it was deafening in there. You know, and people kept turning around going, that's what we want. Like, Coach, like we're mimicking what you're doing here. We're having success here, but how do y'all get that? And I'm like, it's a freaking great question. That's a great question. Like, that's 50 years, 100 years of school tradition, 50 years of wrestling tradition, and just a lot of love and support from family. So.
One thing I always like to ask, especially you guys being senior, I know you're going to be wrestling college. Hopefully you're football. Played the wrestling college too. 20 years down the road, I look up at Belcher here, Luke Belcher. What am I going to see you doing if I run into you on the street one day? What do you hope to be doing? I like to ask this question. It's always fun.
That's a great question. I'm planning on going to a 4-year college and going from there. I'm probably going to go in the medical field. Still trying to figure out if I want to wrestle or not. And you know, I've looked into a few different careers. I've thought about being a nurse anesthetist. A lot of school, a lot of money to be made. I'm pretty excited about it. I'm not sure if that's what I want to do, but I'm definitely going to get in the hospital probably this summer and in the future and make some friends and figure out what I want to do from there. And that's what I plan on doing in the future. And then, of course, I'll always give back to the program here.
Of course.
I love Bradley Central, and I'll always be back in the room to help out anytime. As well as, you know, if I do wrestle in college, I can maybe bring back some of that to the guys. So.
Okay, well, great, man. And Knox, I know you're going to be playing football. Where are you going to play football at?
I'm going to Cumberland University.
I think we've got some former Bears up there.
Maybe, I think so. I'm not sure.
And what's your career path going to be later on? I've asked you this before, and I think I remember what you told me. But
Yeah, I'd like to. I want to coach on Division I level. I'd like to coach linebackers. But yeah, that's kind of been my dream. Kind of following family footsteps, I guess you could say. But yeah, that's what I'd really want to do.
how about you, Bryson? Wrestling's behind you now. What are you doing here 20 years from now?
Oh man, it can vary from working at TVA as an engineer to being a wrestling coach. It's
Or both.
or both. I mean, I'm still up in the air about it. Haven't really made up my mind. Just kind of seeing where the road takes me and what God's plan is for me.
And Ethan?
I plan on owning my own business eventually, buying and selling houses, my own crew. That's the goal eventually after college.
I've got it figured out, Coach. When I was in senior high school, golly.
Yeah. And that's what I've identified with these guys with, and the fact that, like, I mean, I'm listening to Luke. I mean, I'm listening to all of them, but like the first question, and I'm sitting there going, like, 20 years ago, that was me. And if you'd have told me, you know, there was when I left here, I wanted to go into architecture, and I didn't want to wrestle in college at this moment in time, you know. But it was one of those things that, like, very quickly, like, once I made my shift to education, it was like, I'm going to go back to Bradley, and I'm going to be the head wrestling coach there one day. I never really thought I would be, because Heath was in line at that point. But I'm like, you know, I'm going to coach wrestling. I'm going to teach. I'm going to coach. I'm going to have a life that mimics what Coach Slogson and Coach Jackson have, and I'm going to be happy, and I'm going to enjoy my life. And I'm sitting here going, man, like, that's exactly that, you know. And that's kind of why, you know, life has its ups and downs, and we all have our struggles. But I feel very successful in my life, and the fact that I'm where I wanted to be, and that just happens to align with where the Lord has me, you know. And so I think that when those two things intersect, you know, you have a happy life ahead of you, and like that's what I look forward to these guys. You know, I look forward to, you know, I remember 3 or 4 years ago, everybody talking about Luke, and I'm like, dude, if he don't want to wrestle in college, who cares? And then, like, as I got to know him deeper and deeper and deeper, I'm like, I don't want him to wrestle in college if he doesn't want to. I want him to pursue what makes him happy, and what, you know, yeah, money's a great factor, but, like, dude's got a lot of interest. He's going to be fine. You know, Knox, I know he's got teaching and coaching in his blood. I'm glad it's at another level, but if he ends up back here, great, but I know he's going to be happy. You know, Bryson's one of those kids where He could end up at TVA with Clint, or he could end up back here at Bradley with me.
Where are you going to wrestle for college?
Appalachian State.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yes, sir.
A lot of skiing up there, a lot of
Oh,
beauty
yeah.
out there. So there's a lot of more, outside of having a great relationship with him, there's a lot of reason to go to Boone, and that's hard for a former Mock to say, you know. And then, you know, listening to Ethan, I mean, his family is very successful, and there's no doubt in my mind that he will be. He'll follow suit. Him and his brother always have this plan. They're going to take over the world. His brother's going to do it like the easy way. He's going to try to find an easy way to make a bunch of money. I know Ethan's going to he's going to go about it probably the right way. But there's no doubt in my mind these guys are going to be transactionally successful, but also transformationally. They're going to have some great lives ahead of them. And I look forward to doing life with them in the community of wrestling and outside of it afterwards as well, you know.
Mm-hmm. You guys, you're going to look back on a few days and a few years, actually, say, boy, you don't realize how blessed you are right now to be a part of this school and this program and to wrestle with this guy right here.
Oh, yeah,
Really don't.
100%.
And you'll appreciate that more and more as you get a little older. I know you're 18 years old now, but hey, as you get older, you really relish those times and moments, those memories that that have been created under this man and the staff and all the fan base we've got here. And it ain't like this everywhere, guys. I keep telling people that here. We got a special thing here at Bradley, and it just is not like that in a lot of schools. You know, there's huge interest in things, and great support here. The Bear Nation's there behind you all the way, and a lot of fans behind the scenes. You know, everybody shows up on match night. You know, good crowds and all that, but hey, a lot of stuff has to happen first, and you guys know that you paid that price to be successful and reach the goals that you've set and made it there. And Coach, you got to be proud of them, because I know I'm proud of them. They rep the B in a great way.
Very proud of them, you know, and you know, to not achieve our goal of a team state championship this year, which we were very capable of, not necessarily at the individuals. We sealed our fate at sectionals, like we didn't have enough get through, and we maybe dumped too many eggs into the state dual basket, and we had some kids that it was hard for them to recover from. But you know, I challenged each and every one of them individually, as someone challenged me years ago. And Coach Blackman kind of kicked it off, and enjoy the moment and enjoy the process, and and I challenged each and every one of them after their matches, even in their loss, like, look, at some point take 4 or 5 minutes, gather yourself, compose yourself, but at some point after you thank everybody and hug everyone's neck that's been here to support you, take a moment and just look around and just remember this moment, because you're not going to get it back, you know. And I did that with each one of them. And, you know, and it's life-changing, because it's like you said, it's not like that. People want to be us. People want to be Bradley Central High School. And I don't mean that, and I know that's going to be bulletin board material for Cleveland and everybody else. And I get so sick of that mess. But, like, we have something special here, and I'm very proud of that. And I'm very proud to continue it and be a part of it. But I really wanted to make sure that each one of these guys, because sometimes it's just on to the next. You know, on to the next, on to the next, on to the next.
Smell the roses.
Man, and it was like, wow. You know, you'll never be here in this moment again, and if you rush by it, you'll miss it. And I had several moments of those, and I was lucky enough to have moments with each one of those guys like that. So, but yeah, man, that's it. You know, 2023 has come to an end, and 2024 has already kind of began, and you know, on to the next. So, and these guys will be successful, and they're going to be hugely successful. We got to get this guy signed, and we got to get him. You know, we gotta get those. We gotta pay as much attention to the academic discipline and the social discipline. And I don't mean that the way it sounds, but like Bryson's like me, he's peppy. You know, like you can find yourself into some trouble real quick if you ain't careful. You know, and you know, Knox has got to. You know, he's gonna be just fine. You know, he's got to get stronger and bigger and stronger. And you know, Luke's just kind of he's got to figure out what he will. And I'm so excited to kind of see, because man, if you don't want to wrestle in college, you ain't gonna wrestle in college. You know, and so the biggest thing is getting him figured out where he wants to go, and then getting these guys set up for these last couple months of success. And then when they walk across the stage on whatever Friday night or Saturday night it is in May, man, you know, I can sit back and maybe put my feet up and go, okay.
Those are my guys.
Those are some. Those are our guys. Those are some of our guys. Yeah.
Well, Luke, I know you guys will all be a success there, and you know, you start questioning, should I continue to do this, or should I wrestle in college? If you're doubting it, you probably should, you know, the way I look at it. But hey, you're going to be successful. Luke, Knox, Bryson, and Ethan, and Coach, it's always a pleasure to have you here every week. You've been with us all throughout the season, and we look forward, you know, in the future and see what hosts for all these guys here. And thanks for our final wrestling show of the year.
That's it.
And you guys, man, love you guys. I love this man right here.
Love you too.
That is Coach
Appreciate you guys.
Ben Smith here on the final wrestling show of this season here at Brad Central High School. Until next time, we'll say so long for now, and God bless the Bears.